Welcome back to Brown's podcast. I'm your host, Janelle Brown, and my co-host, Jim Brown, has decided to grace us with his presence. So last time we spoke about high school nationals.
Yeah.
And this week, this coming Saturday, we have Pennsylvania State Powerlifting Championships. We've got a couple of newbies coming.
Oh my God, yeah, like 40 out of the 42.
And so what would be some advice that you'd give to a new athlete coming in trying powerlifting for the very first time?
Well, this is something that you and I have discussed this. That I tell all my beginners, your first contest, I want you to do nothing but have a good time, make it as little stress as possible for yourself. Don't worry about what you weigh in at. If you're 195 pounds and the weight class is 183 or 190 or 205, so what? Just weigh in where you weighed in. Have a good time. Fall in love with the sport. That's all I expect from my lifters.
So meet day. We had this incident at our last competition where there was two brand new lifters. We've never seen them before, and they're warming up, and all of a sudden, these names are being shouted in the speaker for they're up to lift, and they're still in the warm up room in their shorts and t-shirts. So they were unfortunately unprepared for the attire that they were supposed to be wearing. So the singlet and
them poor souls had no idea. They'd never even seen a contest before. They didn't understand the timing of a warm-up area. What were they both, like 155, 160 pounds? They're warming up with the 230-pound kids. So you guys are late.
We knew looking in the warm-up area that they were in the wrong place. They should have been out on the platform. So, I panicked for them.
Is that the same two kids we took to the front counter, stripped them at the front counter, and grabbed singlets?
Yes.
We dressed them at the front counter and shoved them out on the platform.
Correct.
Yeah.
And now one of them is now on our team. We'll be competing and trying to redeem himself for this competition. But that's just something that, you want to sign up for competitions. And I think CrossFit is, you sign up for a competition, you show up, and whatever that workout is, you do.
Whatever you're wearing is fine. Yeah, whatever you brought is fine.
Right.
In powerlifting, your equipment all gets inspected before the contest starts to make sure it's all of an approved type of equipment, whether it be squat suits or wrestling singlets, and whatever your t-shirt says. You can't come in with t-shirts that have curse words and stuff on them. They're not going to let you lift with that stuff.
Damn.
Right? I had a perfect one too.
So, would you suggest, obviously, I think when you're signing up for a powerlifting meet, so Powerlifting America, you sign up, there are rules of the attire to have, and it's right there posted when you sign up for the competition. Am I right?
If you have to know that those rules exist, even go look for the equipment list, the approved equipment list. If you don't know about it, you're not even going to know what to look for. So one of the first things, and I'm sure you do this with your clients as well, is I actually have my clients, when they sign up to do their first powerlifting meet, I actually require them to go do their Adele certifications even though you're not required to do that unless you're going to make a national team.
Well, what is an Adele certification?
I don't remember what it stands for.
See, he brings it up. But yes.
I took the test. I passed the test. I don't remember what it stands for.
So it is to make sure that you know the rules of performance for competing under WADA guidelines.
Yes.
So WADA is the World Anti-Drug
Association,
And
Anti-Doping Association.
You want to make sure that you follow the guidelines. You do not take any kind of supplements that may incur.
Oh, that covers another beginner mistake. I walk in a warm-up rooms and contests, And I look around and everybody's got a pre-workout item they're taking. Half to 2/3 of that stuff will not pass a drug test if they get tested.
So if you are competing in Powerlifting America, obviously this is a drug-tested organization. So you want to make sure that you are not taking any supplements that could fail a drug test. And that is why we have our clients take the ADEL certification. So they're well aware that anything that they take could potentially be an issue if they do get drug tested.
With or without your knowledge,
you are
still
responsible for what you put into your body.
Yeah.
So let's go back to weighing in.
Okay.
So it's the morning of the meet. They're so excited. The weigh-ins are 2 hours before they compete.
Yes.
I know for some of my athletes, the female athletes, come to me and, well, what do I weigh in at? Like, what do I wear when I weigh in? So whatever you're comfortable in. So you can wear your bra and underwear, whether you want to wear a thong, whether you want to wear, like, you know, what are they called? Boy shorts or your socks. But to be honest, you want to weigh in as light as possible. So the more comfortable you are tearing that shit off and weighing in like that, that's what I would weigh in at.
I'm going in bare ass naked.
Well, I mean,
everybody should be uncomfortable when I'm there.
There's nothing wrong with your ego. Let's just put that out there. So, and for competing for Powerlifting America, girls, same thing. If you just want to wear, regular, underwear, they can't have legs to them. So, your regular thong or I don't even know what they're called. Panties, like what are they even called?
You're asking me about what girls' underwear are called?
I don't even know what they're called.
I'm barely looking at them.
But guys, they can't wear boxer briefs.
Cannot wear
they
boxers.
Can't wear
Must wear
boxers.
briefs, yeah.
They have to be tighty-whities.
Or you can go commando, but don't wear a
Can
set of
you go
boxers. Oh, yes,
commando
absolutely.
in competition?
Yes.
I don't suggest it.
No.
Singlets don't hide anything, so I suggest you wear something. Okay, so they're all waiting.
If your junk is small, it's going to look smaller. Wear underwear.
I don't know if this is ever going to get aired.
This is never getting aired.
Okay. Okay, so they weigh in, and you have to give your first.
Before that, something I would suggest on weigh-ins, like for somebody it's their first time doing a contest.
Yeah.
Take somebody into the warm-up room with you, and watch the numbers. Have them watch the numbers that they write down.
In the
from
weigh-in
scale
room.
to your
Yeah.
paper are the same, including your warm-up attempts.
Yes, you are allowed to bring someone in with you when you get weighed in.
One of the things that happened at high school nationals this year was somehow, apparently everything had the same birth date on it.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
It was an age group category contest.
Yeah.
So it was important to have the birth dates right. And
Yeah.
somebody caught it. It's
So
like, holy cow, everybody's born July 5th or
You
something.
will get weighed in kilos, and you will initial the weight that they put down for you, and you will initial your attempts. So when selecting your opening attempts, number one, they are written in kilos. Do not write them in pounds. You will be
If you want 400 pounds, do not write 400 kilos.
And so how would you suggest them choosing their openers?
I like to have openers, squat and deadlift. I like to have a bigger gap between my first and third. I'm typically open about 10% lighter than I expect to finish. Maybe even 11 to 12% lighter than I
But
expect to finish.
if you expect to finish, say you want a 700-pound squat,
Right.
but maybe in contest you only squat at 650, like.
Well, then you ain't get 700 in
Right,
contest.
right, but I also don't want you don't feel the need to put your heaviest opener. You have 3 tries at it. That's such a rookie mistake.
Stupid approach. Yes.
So if their top squat in contest was 650, let's take 600 because it's an easy number. Say take 600.
I
What do
wouldn't
you think that they
necessarily
would
go by
open?
what their last contest.
No, their heaviest squat in training was say 600. What
Oh.
would they open at?
I wouldn't be afraid to open 585, maybe even lighter.
Okay.
A first attempt doesn't mean a damn thing in contests.
Unless you don't
have one. You fail to achieve one, now you got a problem. So make the first attempt that almost a throwaway attempt, especially in a squat. I mean, it's the first one of the day. It's the hardest lift of the day. It's the hardest lift of doing the entire training cycle.
And you're super nervous.
Yes.
I still want to vomit for my opening squat attempt.
And the mistakes you can make on that opener, you need to be able to overcome them. So I would definitely open light.
Okay.
I think last contest I did.
But do you base it off percentages?
I do not.
Okay. Okay.
So I think I finished at 617 raw, and I think I opened to like 529.
I know personally what I do in training, if I triple it in training, so like my last squat, I have a 200 triple, like that's what I'm going to open with.
I think if in equipped lifting, that's probably a good
even
number.
raw. I think it's linear. I think you could do either.
That wouldn't have worked for me though, because I did a 600 triple and then with a 617 single.
I'm just saying that is what I would do, but
I wouldn't be afraid to be a little bit lighter than that. On a deadlift, I think that's very true. I think on
so
the
how
bench is very true.
how can you tell people how to base their openers? Because we both have different.
Again, I'd probably like to see. I know I said I didn't do it off of percentages, but I'd like to see 10, 15% under.
So 90 to 85%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I think if you put it in percentages, I would be a 90%er for sure.
In contests, anything can happen. You forgot to wait for a rack command. You forgot to wait for a start command.
Or you just completely go out and fudge it.
Go out and go straight down and forget to come back up.
I've done that.
That's why I was kind of playing.
I've gone out to my opening deadlift at the World Championships, and you said, "Hey, you make this deadlift, and you're the world champion." And I go out and I miss my deadlift. Well,
and that was the opening attempt.
That happens.
And that happens. So you want that to be light enough that you can overcome your mistakes. Did that happen?
It happened in Canada.
It did. It happened to Canada.
Yeah, at Masters.
I was trying to think if something like that happened to Steve as well, on a bench or something.
That's a whole other situation.
Squat. I can't remember squat.
So okay, attempt selection. So they make their openers, and how do you? Because you've been coaching internationally for many, many years. I've been your assistant coach for all that time, and we've seen some strategies that don't work out very well. We've seen pride get into the way. We've seen some bad coaching decisions. We've seen. So how do you determine that next number, that next attempt? So
most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time I've had, even with lifters I've never met before that I'm handling in contests, I will at some point have asked them, what was your top squat in training? What's the objective here? The one young man we just had at high school nationals, his top squat, I believe, was
Marcus.
Yeah, 540. It was like 540. And when we get the contest, I think he had a goal of breaking the American record. It was like 545 or 551 to break the American record. And what did we open at? 496?
I don't remember.
Something like that. It was an easy open, walked out, smoked it. I jumped 20 kilos on him. I brought him right up to 540 on the second attempt to see how close we were going to be for that American record. 537 or 237.5 maybe.
So it is basically whatever you show that day.
Yes. But when we got to the third attempt, his goal was the American record at 545 or 551. We ended up going 562. We didn't even look at the American record. We just went right by it.
So again, whatever you're capable of that day. Now, maybe you're having an off day, and then you can't take
Yeah.
those jumps. Sometimes that's there, and sometimes it's not.
Now I
And
find
you have to use what's in front of you at that time to make those decisions.
I typically find if somebody had a real easy, great opener, they typically have a great day following that the rest of the way through. But when they walk out and they have a rough opener, maybe they made it, maybe they didn't. They did make it, and they made it by the skin of their ass. They're going to have a bad day the rest of the way through here.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. Or at least a bad event. If you barely made your opening squat and you thought you were going to go up 30, 40 kilos, good luck with that.
I think coming into your first competition, I would suggest, make attempts that you're comfortable with, that you can make, that, jumps, 10 kilo jumps or 5 kilo jumps that you've made in the gym that you're comfortable with. Have a great day, go 9 for 9, get all those white lights, be technically perfect. It's very difficult to be technically perfect on the platform. Very few people can do it. I've done it once in my entire career. That's how difficult it is to do that.
I have a bunch of them.
Of course you do. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with your ego.
Let me show you stuff.
It's disgusting. So they get their medals and they have a great time. How often? So they fall in love with it, and we see this so often. Oh my God, there's another meet in like 4 or 5, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I want to do that meet.
No.
What do you suggest?
No.
How often
not.
should you?
So it depends on what their goal is. They want to have a shot to go to nationals, or they're already at national event level, and they're thinking they've got to go to worlds. You've got to have enough time in your mesocycles to have made a significant gain in your squat or your bench or your deadlift or all three.
So you mean doing 5 international meets in a row is a terrible idea?
Yes, bad idea.
It's hard on your body.
Even if you win 4 out of 5. Still a bad idea. That wasn't as bad as it sounded like, because we did the first one in February. We did the last one in November.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the fifth one
we went February to February.
Right.
So in a year. That's a lot. I think if you do a local meet to qualify for your national meet, and then, at that national level, if you qualify for North Americans or the World Championships, you do those. Yeah. And then Nationals World.
We had lots of years where our state championships happened in April.
Right, March
or April. The nationals were end of May. So we were real short turnarounds.
Yeah.
We were 6 weeks later or 5 weeks later to North Americans, right, and another 8 or 9 weeks to Worlds.
Right.
So we did those short turnarounds. And we literally went back, like say from nationals to North Americans, which could be 5, 6 weeks possibly. We literally went back in our mesocycles 5 to 6 weeks before the previous contest, put back in the original number, the base number we just made at nationals, back into that mesocycle percentages, and then worked it forward coming back to North America.
What do you think about people testing throughout? So they're going to they do mock meets.
Oh, it's the dumbest shit ever.
Why do you?
Because every time you peak the mesocycle, you smash the mesocycle down. You stopped it. And then that mesocycle is guaranteed to crash after you peak it.
So I know what a mesocycle is, but what is, in layman's terms, in terms that's easily digestible?
So the body can go through up and down cycles.
Of strength.
Yes, of strength. And you cannot maintain being 100% of your best strength 100% of the time. You cannot do it. You will be broken, and you're going to crash the mesocycle. So you want to try and peak the mesocycles. What happens on contest day? In contest, they never ask you what you did in the gym for lifts.
Right.
So they only want to know how you were on that day. So we want to make the mesocycle so it's a controlled thing where we run it up and down, and where it comes out at its best on the day of contest. So
you think you hear this a lot, people are plateauing and they don't understand why they're not getting strength. They're not getting strength fast enough. So let's go up a weight class because their body weight's already going there.
That's
It's
little
a loaded question.
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated.
Do you think that they should? All right, let's simplify it. Should they stay in their little weight class?
Let me break apart the part
and
makes that
grow
complicated.
into it, and get stronger where they're at.
That would go by, to me, it would go by how lean or how fat they are. If it's an athlete who's already fairly thick in body fat, I would not suggest they go up in weight to gain strength. All you're doing is gaining leverage at that point. You're not really gaining, which will put pounds on the bar, but you didn't do any substantial work to make long-term gains. All you do is make long-term health problems, long-term joint problems. So if I have an athlete that's incredibly lean, we've pretty much nursed everything out of this person we can at that weight class, then it would be time to move them up.
Right.
Leah's a good example on that. She pulled everything out of that 63 kilo class she could possibly get out of it, including
all the
multiple world records. And
42, I think it's around 42 or 44 world records.
World or European, yeah.
Records, right.
She's nursed everything out of that weight class. It's time to move up to the next one.
Right.
You find yourself just, you're lean enough and you're getting 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 pounds outside of your weight class for contests. And you find yourself going to contests and you're so washed out when you get there trying to make that weight that you gave all the strength back from being washed out. That's time to move to the next weight class.
And I think that's something we'll definitely get into later podcasts about, how to make weight when you're at that level.
Yes.
How to make weight, water manipulation. Yeah. So for this weekend, we've got the Powerlifting America Pennsylvania State Championships on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bunch of our athletes that belong to the gym here. We've got some athletes coming in from Penn State that are going to come and compete for qualify for the nationals.
I have a good surprise coming from Penn
So
State.
I think we're going to have a great time. If stop in and support these kids and adults, not just kids.
Yep.
We've got one of our crew that is in his 30s, trying powerlifting for the first time, getting his feet wet. See how he's going to do. Yeah. But yeah, I think we're going to have a good time.
Well, we got one coming from CrossFit over.
Right.
Had to undo some of the CrossFit bad habits. It's fine for CrossFit, just not fine for powerlifting. We got a bunch of kids coming in new. I think we even have some professor in here. Yeah.
All right. So that will do for our little, well, I don't have any lunch, but last time we were eating, so maybe.
I could eat.
Oh, yeah, I'm a little hungry. All right. Well, let's shut this shit down. I think we're good for the day. You want to add anything?
Well, not now that you put me on the spot, no.
Yeah. He's all ego. There's nothing else. Okay.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. We're done.